Welcome back to Dead by Daylight, or rather, my opinions about the actual mid-chapter having played the public test build. A couple days ago, you know, reacted to the dev logs, and I'm sort of here to give my thoughts on the update after having played it a little bit in the public test build. So, Champion of Light. Let's see here. While shining a flashlight, you have 50% haste, so you don't really lose any distance while using it. And when you blind the killer, they're hindered for 6 seconds. They're 20% hindered. And it goes on cooldown for 60 seconds after. This is, You wanna know what this is? You wanna know what this is? This is literally the come chase me, baby killer. Don't you want to be slow? Too easy. I'm gonna do this for the entire 2 minutes of endgame after you give up after your 50th hinder. I'm a flashlight Nia. Yeah, that is literally that is literally that perk. All right, Boon Illumination. Oh, I'm sorry. I'll read the quote too. If I squeezed the flashlight like my life depended on it, willing it to stop coming any closer. All right. Then we have Boon Illumination. It's been a while since we've had a boon. Let's see if this one's not broken. Press and hold. Yeah, okay. Set up your boon. Survivors within your boon's range see the auras of all chests and generators in blue. Okay. And if you have a lit boon, you can cleanse or blast 10% faster. This is nice. This is a little like a set this up somewhere and you can sort of tell everybody where everything is. I kind of dig that. I actually kind of dig that. It's not gonna be great, but it's nice. Right, quote. A shift in reality, heavy with hidden meanings. Then we have Deadline. Activates when you're injured. Skill checks appear 10% more frequently when repairing or healing and appear in random places. Penalty for missing is reduced by 50%. The night had been one desperate situation after another. Okay, so this perk kinda... Okay, straight up, I can see this being paired with Hyperfocus Stakeout. Like, Hyperfocus Stakeout, this is not happening, this and Deadline, that could be a kind of a funny Gen Rush build. Beyond that, I think this perk, honestly, I think I'll just run this perk because it'll make doing gens actually interesting. Like, it gives doctors skill checks. Wait, what happens if you pair... What happens if you're running this and you're in madness? Does it do nothing, or does it make your skill checks go all sorts of wild? That's something to think about. Either way, this just looks like it's a... Like, it doesn't really do anything, it just makes generators more fun while you're injured, which I am a-okay with. Yeah, that was about my initial response to aWakened and his perks. I mean, they're accurate, but, you know, I think they're overall cool. The boon could do with some buffs, maybe tack on a map-wide bond and let it linger for a couple seconds after leaving the radius. That'd be neat. Deadline... Yeah, it's gonna be there to make the game a little less boring for us gen jockeys. But it also apparently works really well with autodidact, so that's something worth noting. Champion of Light is definitely the main attraction of Alan Wake. It might be a bit much, but it's hard to say because it's definitely gonna be a perk that goes through cycles. You know, if it becomes meta, Lightborn becomes meta, which kills Champion of Light, which thus kills Lightborn. So, you know, stonks, not stonks, you know. That said, I do love it for a couple of reasons. I'm not really much of a flashlight player, but it's going to absolutely be amazing. It's going to be downright goated for flashbang builds. You know, I'm already planning on, you know, hitting them with the head on and then dropping the flashbang and running away. It's going to be beautiful. With Champion of Light, they'll take the hinder. I think if it were to be nerfed, it should probably be in terms of the flashlight haste, but I'm not really sure. It's a little absurd, but at the same time, it's kind of hilarious. I don't know, it's weird. I hate being blinded at pallets as killer, but I think Champion of Light is a really cool perk, but it encourages blinding at pallets, so it's like, I feel very mixed about it, honestly. It'll be funny as a survivor, really annoying as a killer, but it's not going to break the game. So, I guess it's okay in my book. Then we have Hillbilly. Hillbilly. William of the Mountains, how I dislike you. Not the changes, mind you. The changes are solid. I just dislike Hillbilly in general. The base kit is a lot better, and Overdrive is a thing. Yeah, Overdrive might actually be a problem in its current state. Like, you get it really fast, it gives a ton of bonuses. I don't know how I feel about the fact that Billy is now kind of rewarded for messing up his power a lot in a chase. I don't know. Then again, I also just don't like playing against Hillbilly, or as Hillbilly, or just Billy in general. So take it all with a grain of salt, but I think ultimately the base kit changes he got, you know, the increased chainsaw movement speed, the reduced collision, those are all ultimately very healthy changes for him. He is going to be played more, which is unfortunate for me personally, but, you know, as long as he doesn't achieve, you know, Wesker levels of being played, you know, 8 games in a row, we ought to be fine. Sadako, I don't really play Sadako much, and I never played the original Sadako because I hated how her add-on reliance was. And I did like her Adept, but I think that was just about it. So, I don't really have room to speak on the pre-work, I guess. I will say, I don't like the fact that that they brought back the ability to insert the tape after you get hit. I thought about, you know, why didn't they just keep the tape destruction, but I think it's fairly simple. It's because that would make it too much with having to get a new tape and then run all the way across the map again. But why not just make inserting the tape take like 3.5 seconds? That would fix the entire issue, straight up. I think that's the only change I can truly say that I want to see that I don't really think should be complained about. Oh, and the other big change, Condemned locking into a permanent status on Hook. It's an interesting idea, but I think ultimately it's not going to be all that great. Because, I mean, if you have 4 or 5 stacks and the Sadako is chasing you, chances are she's just going to try to herd you to TVs and teleport to them to condemn you. Maybe at 4 stacks. Like, at 4 stacks, getting... Like, I could see that being a dangerous middle ground where she's not necessarily going to try to force it, but at the same time, it forces you to be extremely careful about the TVs. But, I don't know. And there may very well be some tunneling strats with it or something. That's something I'm going to have to wait and see how the more experienced Sadako players feel. Once again, truly my biggest issue with the Sadako rework is the fact that you guys get your killer back, but Freddy mains don't. Feels bad, man. Blight add-ons. They are goofy. I love them. Alk Ring, I think, is a fantastic add-on now. Like, it's not going to break the game like old Alk Ring, but at the same time, it's still a very new, unique, interesting effect that you can do some really goofy plays with. Like, you can snipe people from downtown as Blight now. Blight snipes are a thing. It's kind of beautiful. Compound 33's turn speed. That's another thing of beauty. I love it. It's so goofy. You can helicopter as Blight. I think what was it? Oh no, I'm sorry. That was Compound 33. Eerie Tag. Eerie Tag has some... I think Eerie Tag is the goofiest, but at the same time, I think it's going to need some changes. I love it, because you can just bounce around the map, and then it's arguably not that bad, because you're kind of just an M1 killer for those 20 seconds. Really, I think if you... I'd say bring back the slight tracking that old Compound 33 had, and make it so that if you fatigue within, say, 10 meters of a survivor, you still go on cooldown. Because right now, I think the big thing with it is just going to be that you're going to see people run it with, I think it's Cankerthorn, that reduces the fatigue. They're going to do that to get around the map, get up close, fatigue really fast, hit the M1, and then get the down. So, I think that's kind of the big issue with that add-on. It might just get another change, who knows. Overall, though, Blight add-on changes are a win. Perk changes. Save the best for last. It's garbage. It may still be an okay perk, but man, it feels bad now, man. It feels like trash. And Grim Embrace is unironically the new meta. Grim Embrace for the first hook, Pain Res for the second. They die on the third hook, and you get your pops in between. So, you know, or even if you're not using pop, or even if you have to use Grim Embrace and Pain Res at the same time, like, the one thing I'll say is that this does not really, like, the Grim Embrace change doesn't do a whole lot for low mobility killers. It's still guaranteed time, which is good, but as a low mobility killer, you're not going to be getting a lot out of it. That said, though, like high mobility, high lethality killers, like Blight, the new Billy, the Nurse, they're all going to get insane value out of this perk. It's going to be either it's going to like it's an odd one. But yeah, overall, I think it's a solid rework, or update, I should say. Oh, and the Shabborn rework is eh. Honestly, I was really hoping it'd be something that highlights survivors, sort of like Dreamworld or Nightfall, like, you know, within 24 meters or something. But it is funny to think that, you know, Wraith, the killer who for most of his time in Dead by Daylight has been completely countered by flashlights, then he wasn't countered, and now he's the one that's countering the flashlights. Like, that's kind of hilarious to me. And then, of course, there is the gen adjustment, which I was extremely cautious going into. I went in assuming it was going to end up being an overall net nerf. Overall, I actually didn't really feel it all that much. So, yeah, good stuff. Base kicks are a little better, but at the same time, you know, you got to be a little more mindful about when you kick, so you're not really going to be doing that very much. Being able to prevent them from tapping the gen, that's a good change. It's nice that gen tapping's gone. Overall, I went in probably a little too cautious about this. I still think Eruption is probably going to need a counter buff because it got hit really hard. But otherwise, you know, I think overall, W change. I'm happy to say that. I am very happy to say that that was a W change, mind you. And yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about the PTB. Like, it was, you know, decent changes. So yeah, that's what I had to say about the PTB. Oh, one last note. I did find out that I have Alan Wake, so if you want to see me play that in the time, or at least start it, in the time leading up to his official release, let me know down in the comments below, along with what you thought of the PTB and the various changes. Until next time, this has been Proselyte Primus.